Welcome to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing, founder of the Reiki Business Collective and creator of the Build Your Reiki Business program, sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Greetings, welcome, and thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. It's Christian of Standing Stones Healing, honored and excited to welcome you to another episode. Thanks so much for joining me. In this episode, we're talking about explaining Reiki, talking about and explaining Reiki. But first, I want to explain that you are invited to the free Summit Preview Party on Sunday, July 20th. At this Zoom gathering, we're celebrating the upcoming Reiki Business Summit in September with Reiki business discussions. You're going to have the opportunity to connect with other Reiki practitioners, go into small breakout rooms, make friends, make connections, and chat all things Reiki business. No matter where you are on your Reiki business journey, you are welcome. You can learn more and save your spot right now at reikibusinesssummit.com/party. The link is down below, and if you can't join live, you will get the recording. Hope to see you on July 20th. Thank you. Explaining Reiki can be a real challenge for Reiki practitioners. And talking about Reiki is not easy. It's a challenge because many of us struggle to really understand what Reiki is and exactly how it works. And many of us are nervous to talk about Reiki with others because we're afraid of what others might think. So if this is you too, you are not alone. And this is especially common at the beginning of our Reiki journey and even our Reiki business journey. So the first thing I want to encourage us on when it comes to explaining Reiki and talking about Reiki is to release judgment of ourselves. This is essential to our discussions about discussing Reiki. We need to be kind and gentle to ourselves for any challenges that we might have in putting words to Reiki and our experience of Reiki, how it works, what it's like to us, and the impact it has had on our own lives and can have on others' lives. Even after we have been practitioners for many years, and even after starting and growing a Reiki business, we can have times where we feel challenged to explain Reiki or to talk about it. I know for me personally, I had challenges with talking about Reiki early in my Reiki journey. And my Reiki business journey as well. But even years into my Reiki business journey, there are still some times when I just honestly don't want to talk about it. I'll give you a for instance. Years ago, I had a new dentist. I went to my first appointment with a brand new dentist. And the hygienist, who had her hands in my mouth at the time, said, "So, what do you do?" Now, I personally am not a fan of talking to the hygienist when they've got their hands in my mouth. Like when I'm at the dentist, just do your thing. Please don't try to talk to me when you have your hands in my mouth. It's awkward, right? And so when I got this question, I was like, I really don't want to go into explaining how I'm a Reiki practitioner, what Reiki is, how it works, and all of the things here at the dentist. At least not with someone's hands in my mouth. So I mentioned one aspect of what I do in my business. I said, I'm a life coach, and left it at that. Now, of course, that's not the full picture, but it took a lot less explaining and a lot less awkwardness. So even years into our Reiki business journey, we can have times when we are challenged to explain or talk about Reiki. So let's release judgment of ourselves for that. But it's very important for us to get comfortable talking about Reiki for the sake of our Reiki business. It's important for us to be able to talk about Reiki in order to help spread Reiki, to help people understand what it is and what it can do, and for the sake of our business. Now, I do have a podcast episode all about talking about Reiki, but I'm going to share some of the ways that I think about and explain Reiki. I'll drop that previous podcast episode link down below. But I encourage, as you focus on and consider explaining Reiki, there are a few things that are going to be helpful to be ready to talk about. Number one, talking about what it is. Number two, talking about how it works. Number three, talking about how and who it helps. Number four, the benefits of Reiki. And even number five, what to expect during and after a session. So these are a few things that, as we consider our Reiki conversations, are really helpful for us to be ready to talk about. Now, when it comes to explaining Reiki, my first recommendation is to have a grounded and accessible approach to the discussions. So to be able to talk about Reiki in grounded terms that anyone might be able to understand. Let's work to take the esoteric out of it and to help make it more accessible. My second recommendation for talking about Reiki is to make a distinction between Reiki, the energy, and Reiki, the system. So when we talk about Reiki, when we explain Reiki, there are a couple of levels to this. Number one, we can talk about Reiki, the energy. Number two, we can talk about Reiki, the system. And so it's important for us, I believe, when we explain Reiki, to be explaining both of these aspects of Reiki, the energy and the system. Now, the ways in which I have considered, conceptualized, and explained Reiki have changed over the years. During my Reiki training, way back in 2014, to me, it seemed very much that Reiki, the energy, was like a waterfall, a flowing, rushing waterfall of energy that is all around us and something that we can access. And I conceptualized the system of Reiki as one way of tapping into or accessing that waterfall energy, Reiki. And I thought of Reiki, the system, as a funnel that we could use to harness, tap into, and direct the Reiki waterfall energy where we would like it to go. So like taking a funnel, sticking it into a waterfall, and pointing it in the direction we might want to go. While, of course, honoring, acknowledging, and recognizing that there are an infinite number of funnels that we can use to tap into the energy, Reiki. The system of Reiki is just one of them. Others might include Tai Chi or Qigong or breath work, yoga or meditation. The list goes on and on. But that the system of Reiki is just one quote-unquote funnel that we can use to tap into that spiritually guided universal life force energy, Reiki. And then, years later, I thought, I really think that rather than tapping into the energy, like with a funnel, the system of Reiki helps us to cultivate the energy, because the energy is not separate from us. Reiki, the energy, is through us and around us everywhere at all times. Reiki, the energy, is always already flowing through you and through everything. And so if it's everywhere and through everything, then we don't need to tap into it like a waterfall that is separate from us. We rather can cultivate it in the way in which we might cultivate qi through practices like qigong or tai chi. And so then I started thinking of Reiki as like lazy qigong. Because in qigong, you are doing the movements to cultivate the qi, the energy, the spiritually guided universal life force energy. And with Reiki, the system, when you're receiving Reiki, you are not going through the movements. You are not taking the kinds of actions that you might with a Tai Chi or Qigong practice. You are just receiving. This is why I thought of it as lazy Qigong. But this idea of cultivating suggests again that the energy isn't already there, or it needs to be increased. And so today, I see the system of Reiki as a way to help us recognize the flow, to recognize that, quote, waterfall of universal life force energy. That it's a way for us as Reiki practitioners to just simply get into the moment that helps us to recognize that the energy is always already around us, through us, with us, and we are already, always in the waterfall. We are always already the waterfall itself. And that as Reiki practitioners, we use the system of Reiki to welcome and invite the client through practices, including hands-on healing, to recognize the flow as well and to join us there. This is how today I think of Reiki, not so much as a doing, but rather as a recognizing, an honoring, a realization of the truth that is already there, and that the system of Reiki allows us to welcome and invite the client to join us in that recognition and realization. Other ways that we might be able to explain or talk about Reiki. Now, if my explanation doesn't resonate with you, of course that's okay. And of course, it may change for me, just like it already has a couple of times. But we can talk about how the system of Reiki and how it works helps us to relax and to stimulate the body's own healing. We know that when our body, our mind, our spirit is in a state of relaxation, all kinds of things are possible. And so when we can get our bodies into a state of rest and relaxation, that can indeed help the body to engage in its own healing practices and to do so more efficiently and effectively. We can also talk about the fact that Reiki is used in more than 500 hospitals across the U.S., with 500 being a conservative estimate by this time. Now, I talk all about talking about Reiki in my Reiki Business Ready book. So in that book, I offer lots of encouragement, lots of tips for talking about Reiki. But one of the things I mention in the book is writing out your explanations, writing out how you explain Reiki and practicing it, writing out the answers to questions like, what is Reiki? How does it work? Who does it benefit? How does it benefit them? What can you expect during and after a session? I also talk about this in the Reiki Business Blueprint, my beginner course on starting your Reiki business. But when we are comfortable with explaining and talking about Reiki, this is really helpful for our Reiki business and getting ourselves out there and talking about it and making it and our Reiki business accessible. Now, of course, it's okay to rehearse. This will help you feel prepared and confident. And you might be thinking, oh no, if I rehearse it, won't people be able to tell that I've memorized it and I'm just saying something memorized? No, you won't sound like it's memorized. You'll just sound like you know what you're talking about. Now, for me and my practice, I probably should have practiced talking about Reiki with my hands in my mouth. That might have come in handy at the dentist all those years ago. But talking about Reiki, how to explain Reiki, is such an important topic for our Reiki business that my friend Ricky Friedman is talking about it at September's Reiki Business Summit. Now, I mentioned the summit preview party coming up on July 20th, but the Reiki Business Summit is coming up in September. It's a live 2-day event online full of presentations, discussions, connections, live networking with Reiki friends, and lots of information and encouragement to help you move forward on your Reiki business journey, no matter where you are on your Reiki business journey, whether you are just thinking about it, starting out, or have been in business for years. But at the Reiki Business Success Panel on Sunday, September 14th, Ricky is joining us at the summit to talk about talking about Reiki and offer us some tips and encouragement. You can grab your seat right now for the summit at special early bird pricing. It's only $98 for the full online 2-day event. It is all live, but if you can't join live, you will get the recordings. I invite you to check it out at reikibusinesssummit.com, but please don't delay because early bird pricing ends July 31st, and on August 1st, regular pricing at $148 goes into effect. So lock in early bird pricing at only $98 right now. Save your seat and get ready for an amazing weekend. Well, what do you think about talking about Reiki? How do you explain Reiki? Drop it down for us and let us know. Share your thoughts. There are all kinds of interesting ways of explaining Reiki out there. Share yours. We would love to hear it. Join us in the Reiki Business Collective Facebook group and tell us how you explain Reiki at facebook.com/groups/ Reiki Biz, sending lots of blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Thanks for tuning in to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, and send to a friend. Learn more about the Build Your Reiki Business program at standingstoneshealing.com/build, sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business.